Peace and blessings be upon you. Praise be to Allah and thank be to Allah, and there is no God but Allah, and exalted be to Allah. Allah is the greatest. Those merciful words which are attributed to Allah as Almighty during this atmosphere of great belief, whenever I recite them, I feel very shame if my contribution is only by words. But we have to look within the meanings of those words to reach the depth of those words, to seek the goodness in those words by praising Him. Dear viewers, and the program of the values of pilgrimage, I have a little request. Those who are following us on Iqraa to tell the others who are bilinguals or speak other languages like English and French, so can be able to widen their media objection globally. And whoever understands English, he can follow the episode on English, and same thing for French. And coming back to the issue of belief and the good deeds, in the previous episode I spoke about 4 definitions, main definitions, and 4 keywords. I spoke in the last episode about the issue of worship, and I moved to be closer in a closer state to Allah Almighty, and the other methods to get closer to Allah Almighty, and also spoke about Allah, the worshipped, and to worship Allah with a loving heart. And also I spoke about a keyword, the 4th one, which is the one who orders and the ordered obligations. And if one knows the ordered obligations, he can be able to perform them well, and to pursue them without being pushed by others. And all these questions and inquiries. What about today's episode? Today's episode, I displayed a topic, which is the servitude. If I talk about the worship, I supposed to talk about this servitude. I took a promise to renew my understandings of those definitions, where we pursue in this life to achieve the meanings of worship or servitude, which is the request of the worshipper to Allah to accept him as a servant. And this word, we should come across the definition of the word servitude, and we continue to be careful on knowing this understanding, and with this understanding, which is going to take us to guidance, where prayers and my rituals and my life and death are all to Allah Almighty. Unfortunately, when I reviewed this definition, I was shocked. My understanding about the servitude were taking a sort of a ritualistic picture. When I came back to the scholars' words, and to get into deep in these definitions, I found those meanings that it is getting rid of to show himself as sort of a helpless to Allah Almighty, and to seek His acceptance. And this is the issue of servitude. As long as you proceed in worshiping and in prayers, this will lead you to the belief, and then you will arise and you will raise in state to Allah Almighty, and it makes one a servant, but he doesn't judge others and complain about them that they're not worshiping properly. Some of the scholars said about servitude, which is what is disposing the vision in order for us to seek Allah Almighty. The Prophet gave us a key for this, which he meant by my eye is aimed to within my is for the sake of my worship, to worship Allah as if you see Him. For if you don't see Him, He will see you, or He is seeing you. This is the meaning of it. So servitude is the moment where you enter in a ritual or a worship. You will find that your fortunate from Allah is great. Who is Allah, the one that I worship? He is the one who I was in silence between His hand, where my silence turned into words to Him, and it will reach us to Allah Almighty. And those are methods. The status of worship. I seek Allah to reward us with this status. And the scholars said, know Him, so you can be able to worship Him. Whenever you enter a ritual or obligation, when you attempt to interpret it or to know it, this is like if you worship Him to get to know Him more. The human will raise in status so he can be able to observe more. That's the scholars said. What do they mean? But they say that this guy is a good guy. The good guy, he is the one who he applied what he was ordered to do. Extracting this definition from the meaning of I made him as a successor in this earth. This is beautiful. This is what I said. The original of this is to aim this intention to Allah Almighty more than any other idea. Unfortunately, that to recompensate their worship is an idea which inflated, and some of them they say remember and win. Impossible. And I can recall one of the words of those scholars. He said a great word when the worshipper, when the servant is focusing on recompensation. This is of forgetting the virtue of this worship. When you seek recompense or whatever you're going to be recompensating for those deeds, you should focus on the virtue of those deeds. The problem is in the plain focus on the recompensating. That's why Allah Almighty in the gates of rituals, He rewards us with two boons. The boon of being guided, and He gave us the tools to get closer to Him Almighty. And after being guided, He made us being loving, and He garnished our hearts with it. And during the season of rituals, depend on focusing your eye and your insight to Allah Almighty, and along with knowing and to earn your maximum fortune from Allah Almighty. And let's go for a break, and I ask Allah Almighty to bless you all.
السلام عليكم
Peace and blessings be upon you.
تعالى وبركاته. عدنا بعد
We came back after we spoke in the first part concerning the axis or the element of worship. The belief, the questions of belief is the topic of this episode. I want to find an entrance so I can go into the meaning of belief. And the definition of belief has a lot of definitions and meanings which we need to understand, because our true battle, in a word that said by Dr. Ratib al-Nabulsi, he said, Islam is limited with the Muslims. Whatever we are going through in treatments and rituals has its own beauty within the Muslims. When we perform them and we conduct them, then the beautiful contagion will spread, and which reflects the belief is a matter of contagion, and where you find others will, and where you speak with the tongue and the actions, when you speak with your actions, and this is vital, very crucial. Coming back to the questions about belief in this introduction, the introduction says the following: we want that this generator that's charge the human and prepares him internally to produce light and peace and goodness. The question is, how can we make this happen within the meaning of belief? How can we give the belief dimensions where we can widen our vision into belief, so we make it true and we feel that it's a true belief? The weird thing that the scholars, scientists, within their inciting vision, when the human goes into the rituals, he will reach a goal at the exterior level of him, and also at the interior level of himself. One scholar said the worship of those who know and those who want to know Allah Almighty, their worship ends until they won themselves, until they extract what benefits themselves with, like Prophet Moses, when he told him and mentioned Musa, he was loyal, like at the famous quote, we chose him, we selected him, like we selected from our worshippers one of those who are oppressors and one of those who are pursuing good deeds. And we want to treat this idea to extract to devote ourselves to this idea. By the way, worship, when achieved its goals within you, and it starts reflecting in the form of belief and a flourishing and a beauty around you, then you will achieve a freedom of self for yourself, to achieve a high definitions of the true freedom. And for those who has the rights, and there is a crucial words, those who entered into the knowledge, like one of the fruits of entering in the conscious of knowledge in the context of the rituals and worship, where the human reach a higher levels, where the fears of others decrease within himself, and those meanings of understanding the higher state during rituals and worshipping. beliefs wasn't linked to worship only in actions, but also not only the loyal and devotion, and also the pillar of pursuance to find the true meaning. That's why Imam Ghazali, in his book Fikr and Dua, where he gave a summary and a model of the spirituality of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the art of remembrance and supplications of the final prophet. He explained the true worship were to retrieve the successor within yourself. And I advise within this book, Ahmed Khair al-Ansari, to prevent the Muslim from getting busy on the daily life issues, but also you have to be aware of the surroundings. And I'd like to come back and I will mention the words of Imam Ghazali, bless his soul, that the goodness of the Islam is to the Islam, or the belief of the heart, and dusting the foot into the good earnings in life. The Sheikh says, without fear or bowing, only to Allah Almighty. His Eminence says the worship, as if it's exalting and praising, it's an ability to own life and make it worthy and to utilize it. And this is the true belief. Therefore, we will go into the question of what is belief. What are the dimensions and the attributes, the characteristics, without the Islamic view? Because Islamic view belongs to the scholars and the intellects. We're talking about the spiritual practice to complete the Islamic meaning.
Rafi'i, may Allah bless him, the heavenly mind and reasonableness. When I hear you will be asked about the boon, the favor, I don't see it in drinking water, and in every ability, mental ability, I can use it. What is your opinion to hear Samir from Italy to continue our talk? Samir, peace be upon you, our Sheikh. Peace be upon you. If you, how can I achieve faith in my prayers, in my belief in God? How can I realize it? Yes, I will answer you. Do you have another question? Thank you. And thanks to Iqraa channel for having you on this channel. I follow this. I will follow your works also. This Samir, he gave me good because he gave me introduction to this topic. How can I realize faith? This is the question which comes, what is faith? Samir, when I understand faith, I can exercise it. Now it will come. I will mention what is the meaning of faith. How can I understand it as a person? How can I approach God by faith? And in order to know how to achieve it, I cannot act in the things which I can't envisage in my mind. There are rules and attributes of faith. If you know them, you can use instruments from them in order to be suitable to the reality. One of the attributes which are necessary for every time has a worshipping, and for every worshipper there is a worshipping. It is said that there is an interval, and we will come back to talk about the question of faith.
السلام عليكم
Peace
ورحمة
be
الله
upon
وبركاته.
you.
هذا نحن نستأنف الآن
We
الحديث عن
resume our
سؤال الإيمان.
speech
سؤال
about
الإيمان.
the question of faith.
في سؤال الإيمان
The question of
قبل أن ندخل
faith,
ونوغل في
before
مسألة
we
الإيمان وكيف ينعكس
delve
عن طريق
deeply
العدل
in
والجميلة،
faith,
أريد أن
and
أؤكد على
I
شيء
want
ضروري.
to affirm something
هناك
necessary.
كتاب للدكتور
There is a
ياسر
book for
العيتي.
by
ياسر
Dr.
العيتي.
Yasser
عنوان
Al-Aisi.
الكتاب
The
ما
title
فوق
of the book,
الذكاء العاطفي.
Beyond
ما فوق
the
الذكاء
Emotional
العاطفي.
Intelligence.
يتحدث عن
And he
حلاوة
talks
الإيمان.
about
يتحدث
the
عن حلاوة
sweetness
الإيمان
of
وكيف
faith
يتأثر
and how
بمستويات
he
الذكاء
is
العاطفي
influenced
وما فوق
by the
الذكاء
emotional
العاطفي.
intelligence, and beyond that we
لأن
build the
المفهوم هو الشيء
concept.
الوحيد
The
الذي
concept is the
سيخرجنا
only thing
للرتابة
to
في أداء
get us
شعائر
out
العبادات التي
from
هي
the
مولد
rituals,
لا
which is
يدور
a generator
ولا يدار لا
which does
ينتج
not
ولو
operate.
أنتج لم
If
ينتج
it
ضوءا
is
قد
operated,
ينتج خلافا أو
it
ينتج شبابا
produces,
أو
it does not
ينتج
produce
تصدقا
light,
أو
but
ينتج
it
حالة
produces
من التشظي وحالة
divisiveness and extremism, or to see that the people are below us. It is very necessary to read this book, Beyond the Emotional Intelligence. This expanded the concepts of faith. I started, the man says at in the introduction, the emotional intelligence opens for you the horizons in life and in what you can do. And but faith, it makes the horizons, all the horizons of life and in this world are, you can't encompass them all. It is consisted, it creates something different in the mind, and he talks from the faith, from the perspective beyond the emotional intelligence. How does faith achieves internal consistency and to be in this feeling of greatness? And I advise you to read this book at the website of Iqraa. Every episode there is a form. It includes the names of books and summaries to help you to understand these concepts and how to achieve them in reality. The concepts of faith, after I have given you a reference to which you can refer and to produce from the concept and a behavior of action. And the Rafi talked about the meanings and connotations of faith. The meanings learned about faith did not enable me to achieve what I would like to achieve in my life. This great Imam, the knowledgeable, and I love him, and he talked about faith. He says, faith for me, it is the great conviction which its attributes appear that the life becomes smaller for him. The human becomes in the concept of faith the master of his attributes. He can raise himself that he has something of the control keys of his life through observation, through work and balanced work. And he says faith, as I have seen, it is a correct freedom, immunifies the man from the paths of humility in this life. This protects you from being vulnerable, being low, and humility. and you can seek aid therewith in order not to be utilized by anyone in this text. We hear from a telephone call from Muhammad, and we will talk about the ideas of the sources of faith. Muhammad, is he still online? We have been lengthy to answer you, sorry. The attributes of faith, why should we understand faith? How do you say that you have faith and you can't move confidently, but you are doing things of the disabled? The vulnerability and disappointment and being lazy and monotonous in life, and the hope has not come as a belief, and all these things are within the inner case, which is called faith. It requires understanding in order to create a concept to be an effective in life. I want to end with a good thing. The faith, in fact, which starts of awareing the inner self, then ends with acts. Goodbye.